Avicii, I'm Tim, 2024. This is about the life of Tim Bergling, 1989 to 2018. Sadly, he had a very short life. He made it just beyond the 27 club, but not by much. And from a young age, he said his ambition was to be creative, and he certainly was, because when he was 16, he was inspired by his brother to get involved with musical, um, uh, electronic music remixing as a DJ, and he quickly became a music producer, a DJ. He got very much into the music industry, and his narrative arc was incredibly impressive because after a short while, the crowds at the gigs he was doing were huge, and that must have been overwhelming. So much pressure. I can only imagine that, when you see the big crowds, wow, you got to perform. You really have to perform. And um, this documentary shows a lot of the footage over the years, and it provides a snapshot because it's only an hour and a half, of what it's like to have fame suddenly thrust upon you. um, Playing huge gigs, and then there were times when it fell apart and the crowd stopped booing. Everyone has off days, and part of the creative process is experimental. Not everyone, I can imagine in DJing, in any form of music production, sometimes it will fall flat, but when you're performing live to a large crowd and they've all paid huge amounts of money, I can imagine the disappointment. So suddenly the pressure is really high, and seeing it much in the films that I've watched. Um, for instance, Amy Winehouse, the way she fell into escape escaping out of the pressure. She didn't want the fame, and I can I get the feeling from this film that Tim Bergling or Avicii, he didn't want it either. He didn't want it all the pressure and this much. And once you're there, you've signed up. There's contracts. It must be very hard to just um, pull out of it in any way. Can't hardly have mental health days. Mental duvet days aren't even really available in most work situations at present. But being a huge star, you have to deliver when you're required to. And I suppose I've seen it in fictional films like the recent one, Hurry Up Tomorrow, um, based on um, the Weekend singer. And um, I can imagine every singer's any huge performer will have faced some crises, and unfortunately, in this case, especially, things got so much larger these days. Money drives the situation, and um, I was listening to a gig that Robbie Williams did. It was live. It happened to be at the stadium whilst I was walking through Highbury on Saturday, and think Robbie Williams is great, but he's had his crises, as I found out, especially from the recent film I saw, which was largely sort of documentary in style. That was Better Man 2024. But um, he's thankfully still with us. But some artists never make it through. And one of the observations about Tim is that he didn't perhaps create enough of a distinction between the character, the persona that he presented to the crowds compared to himself. So that perhaps left him vulnerable. And that's the kind of thing that I get the impression again from the Robbie Williams film, simply because he was portrayed as a monkey in this recent film, and that makes sense to some extent. Creating a persona can help protect you from the uh, the barbs, the criticism when things go wrong. But of course, that observation when it was made about Avicii, I mean, he had this character Avicii, but as he says himself in this in the trailer for this film, he called himself Tim. That was his name. He was simply himself, being himself, and maybe there wasn't enough separation. Just an idea. It's what I gleaned from the commentary in this documentary, and I'd like to read up a bit more, watch some of his videos, the amazing levels, and all the other songs that he produced over the short number of years that he was alive. And sadly, in April 2018, 20th of April, I think, he was on holiday in Muscat in Oman, and that was the end of his short life. And this film covers that, but it certainly is also a strong celebration of his his abilities, his amazing talent. It's a wonderful celebration of his work, and it really captures the spirit. I I really like all of the recent music documentaries I've seen. There's a few more I'm hoping to review soon. I've reviewed a few. There was that Piece by Piece as well, which was again um, slightly separated the way it was done. But there have been some that are more like the real life versions of people. Now, I'm going to score this 7.5 out of 10. I found it really insightful. It was heavy at times, just found it so sad the way it ended up for Avicii, but I did love the way his music was celebrated and his life as a whole. So, um, 7.5, I'd love to know what you think about this film. If you've seen it, please like if you like this review. Thanks if you subscribe, please hit the notification button, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.